Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you very much for joining us. We are Lexacrunch.
Mm-hmm. At this
Stop
new and
it.
improved time,
Stop it.
space,
Stop.
whatever.
God, every time. Every time.
Oh,
No,
I
I
think you're
didn't do
telling
it
me.
last time. Fuck you.
You did it
Yeah.
last time. Shut up.
No, I didn't.
I didn't say this, Chesh, but nice hair. I like it.
Thank you.
Nice.
Did you dye
It's
it?
supposed to be red. It is not red. That is fucking orange.
What is it? Every time you dye your hair, it comes out a different color.
This doesn't. It never matches the. I try every time. It never fucking matches. Never.
All right. Well, before we get too deep into that conversation, we're going to go left to right. We're going to introduce ourselves and we're going to get started with the show.
Hi, I'm Eric Draven.
Nice.
A year ago, I got murdered, and my fiance got trigger warning raped and murdered. And then I came back to life to haunt the stream. I'm Cheshire Plays Games. Go for it, Brando.
Is it a murder
All right.
of
Well, if we're going to do
The
this,
Officer Alvarez.
if we're going to do this in the spirit of what I guess we're going to do it, I'm Top Dollar. I murder the crow multiple times and laugh about it. I send my goons to trigger warning, slap Chesh's dick around. And I bang my sister apparently.
Half.
Apparently, yeah. Mm.
Don't forget. Don't forget. Oh, I think we broke her.
He does though, right? Cuz it's the one scene
Yes.
where he says he bangs
Yeah.
he bangs his sister and she's like right
Yeah.
there. Yeah, okay. All right. Go ahead. Whoever you are on the far right.
Remember, morphine isn't good for you. Exactly. I am, of course, the crow, the one that everyone forgets about, and can be the eyes everywhere, and is the most delightful comedic relief for this otherwise quite dark and somber movie in a great way, kind of thing too.
I love it.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love the aesthetic. But of course, people realize the power of the crow later on, and as I cop a sniper bullet to the wing or the testicle, as Brandon said, and turn around with crow-like fury and proceed to destroy some eyes, as is my role in life. Yeah, I'm. Peck. Love the crow. Love the crow. Which is clearly the actual character. It's not talking about Eric at all.
Well, I mean, the movie is called The Crow.
It's talking about the crow. The crow is the catalyst to everything. Exactly. I love crows, and so I love this movie. It's good fun. I'm Sam from Commander Crunch. I do things with Chesh sometimes. We do a podcast about Commander and stuff. This does loosely relate to Magic sometimes, this little thing. But we'll get there. I've actually got a fun way to link this to Magic later on with Commander, but we'll get there. But otherwise, this is our nice little outlet to talk about movies and such and play some games.
I don't know how you can link rape and murder with Commander, but
Not necessarily
sure.
that. More Eric's cool like character and stuff like that. So I've got a fun little game we can play for
Let's
movies
remember
going
who tried to
forward.
call the crow a gender, okay?
Well, yeah. Well, exactly. Well, I'm glad.
Technically, your fault, isn't it, Brandon, saying that the crow got shot in the balls?
Exactly.
Every
So-
crow has balls. Let's be honest.
What? What? Anyway, no. But what I will do is introduce and welcome anyone tuning in at this new friendly Friday night time for all our lovely listeners on, or generally the West Coast, wherever you are, pretty much, because it's Saturday morning in Australia, and we're locked down again. So what else are we going to do on a Saturday?
night?
But we usually been as some faithful listeners often know, or like watchers often know, we have been doing these at midnight, at the dark hour of the Raven, of the Crow, for quite some time. Brandon's it's probably taken a bit of a toll on Brandon, and I wish we had it checked in earlier to go, hey, you cool to do this at midnight? And Jeff, and I think it's going to make a bit more sense to everyone, including audience, and see a different, hopefully catch some of our other Lexicon mates jumping in and friends and joining us for the fun that is, because I just want to share this with everyone. I say it every time, I'm a grateful person, but this is a big highlight of my week to hang out with you guys. It's awesome.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
This is the lowest
Chuck it on
point of
the
my
tweeters.
week where I have to deal with Chesh.
Yeah. Now you understand why I made the podcast fortnightly. No, I'm kidding. No, I miss Chesh. I do.
Okay, well, before we dive into the movie and whatnot, and we discuss the birds, like the one that Chesh is flipping and the ones that are in the movie coming up. Magic news. I don't think anything too spicy has come through except for the whole copyright claim on a deck. That has been the latest thing.
I didn't hear this one.
Yeah, so
a college professor decided to put together a random allotment of cards, basically, and copyright it as a deck list. So the actual deck list itself is copywritten. I will point out that the deck is not a tournament functional deck, meaning that it is not like a high-powered will work in a tournament.
It's just a bunch of storm crows.
He didn't want to fuck somebody over. No, it's not, although that is something that you could technically do. He wanted to point out the fact that the list itself, the list as it is in order, can be copywritten, which means that if you have a commander deck, you can technically copyright that deck, and then no one can use that deck.
Fuck everyone else trying to use skeleton ship's power. Exactly. I love it.
It's fucking stupid.
But
like,
the thing
is
is
fucking
like,
stupid.
this is just
but just keep in mind,
basically
if
trolling.
it's based off of the list verbatim, you can change one card and the list is then invalid.
Correct. Yeah. This is just almost as bad as patent trolling.
But
it
what
really
it's
is.
going to make a big difference in tournament play, I think, is where people are going to see the most impact. But it depends on what Wizards' answer is going to be, right? They could go any which way with it, which is, well, we don't give a fuck about patents on lists. That's stupid. Or they could say, well, he claimed it. Like, what are we going to do about it? Nothing. And then, then it's a race to see who can patent decks before tournaments happen, so that
oh my god! And then
people
selling
can't
those
play
NFTs.
decks.
Jesus! Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah, it's stupid.
It's
think
ridiculous.
I think the proper response for WotC is going to be, regardless of whether a list is copywritten or not, you are welcome to play it at the tournament. Just don't sell the list.
Yeah. But I have some big trading card news that may affect Magic in the future that you guys probably aren't aware of. A company called Fanatics, who currently license apparel and like that mini helmet up there. That mini helmet is a Fanatics helmet. They do a lot of sports memorabilia stuff. Have just stolen, basically. Well, not stolen, but liberated the MLB license from Topps. They're starting a new company to do cards so that they can push Topps out of the market. And they're also working on NFL and NBA to get those licenses as well. And a little birdie says that they're also talking to Wizards about licensing stuff through Wizards.
Interesting.
So that's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. But that may affect trading cards in the future a little bit.
I don't know why, but I'm holding on to every single little bird reference that you said. A little birdie told me. And
Yeah.
Oh, this
reason for
episode's gonna be peppered full of them. Exactly.
It's
We're gonna be
good.
tarred and feathered.
If
Matt,
you can
how's it
peck
going?
at the puns, peck like you always pecked.
Matt in the
I
chat
love
says they wouldn't be able to make the distinction though, but they could, despite any policy, still send a cease and desist if you're using a copywritten deck. Presumably, by the time they get through the legal court case, I would have already won my tournament. I hope.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you imagine hired goons rocking up to your door and like you're gonna have to put
Excuse
that
me,
checklist
sir.
down.
We're gonna have to cease and desist. Talk to my lawyer. He'll set up a schedule the day after the tournament ends.
It seems like a Yu-Gi-Oh plot. Like it's just the sacred deck list that no one else can use. And it's exactly. It's like my grandfather's deck. Again, I can't joke about Yugi.
I'm gonna throw your copyright over the boat, Yugi.
Hey, Joey. Exactly.
You've activated my lawyer card.
We'll see how this progresses. I think it's the dumbest thing on earth, but I mean, it could push people to be creative in tournaments instead of everyone using the same 4 decks. So. Who knows?
I don't think it's dumb. I think it's super dumb. There's a very big difference.
There's a good difference. Exactly.
Yeah. There's a category and a level to it. And
I think DumbCon 5 or something.
And then there's sticking your dick in a blender. This is sticking your dick in a blender. It's just, what is the point? There is no point. Like, it's just fucking stupid.
And I think the only thing which we covered last week, which is we're going back to Innistrad.
Hey. Exactly.
Yay.
Oh, Chesh, there's a character on the front with some of the most luscious red locks you've ever seen in your life, which had a few ginger members of the community, I guess myself included, going, yeah, fuck yeah, representation.
Are you
hell
really
yeah.
ginger? You don't look ginger.
See, Chesh?
You can't tell now, but
I haven't
yes.
grown my beard out. Exactly. Yeah. But no, it's like we have that chat about being a redhead sometimes and people giving you shit, and I mean it's of all the problems in the world, getting like laughed at for being a redhead is so minor. It's not funny. Like it's whatever. So I don't care. But
I mean, why do you have feelings if you have no soul?
Exactly. So but
Well, I don't.
it's just some really cool. Anyway, I don't know. Like product releases, we've talked about it.
Yeah.
It is what it is, kind of thing. It's I think it was nice actually not to buy much. Yeah, it was nice not to buy much Forgotten Realms stuff.
As long as Innistrad isn't like Return to Innistrad or whatever the fuck it was called, that was like shit.
Shadows, no.
You mean the
Shadows
one
of Innistrad.
Oh, I was gonna say you mean the one with the Eldrazi?
Did they have Eldrazi? I don't even remember. I just remember that they tried to do fucking vampires and there was no like good werewolves and it was just like felt like a complete waste.
If I remember correctly, Shadows over Innistrad was the Eldrazi coming in and taking over. And then the vampires were non-existent because of the betrayal of Avacyn.
Kind of there, but just not as much as the other.
Well, because Sorin had to come back and kill Avacyn, didn't he?
Yeah. Anguish Unmaking. Oh, that's Emrakul.
And then also
Sorin might have been. I don't know.
Jace was making clue tokens for everybody.
Because,
people couldn't actually clue themselves, so he had to make tokens for people to use.
Yeah.
And Tamio
Jace was like, I've got something special to tell you. I'm gonna drop a clue. I'm in my closet.
Blues. Yeah. So
we just got a letter.
Yeah. So with Salt and Pepper Online, that pretty much was most of I think Shadow over Innistrad.
And the Get Rob monster just popped up too as well. No, Warren said it did give us some cool commander cards.
I don't care about cool commander cards.
I care about commander cards, Chesh. But also it was a pretty sweet draft environment, to be honest. But,
was it boring as shit?
No, but like mechanically, it was quite interesting. I mean, that came after Battle for Zendikar, which and that block, which. It was going to show that like most sequel kind of sets, like going back to a plane, were always had to pale in comparison in a weird way. Like they're like, that's not the original.
Wait, the set before that did give us the expedition lands.
Yeah, that's why everyone bought them. But like the limited gameplay was apparently really bad. Like it's just I don't know. But again, I was just starting then, so I kind of had the booster packs and didn't play with them.
That was the lull point of Magic. That was the new Urza's lull point, but without all the fucking power. Instead, you just had trash sets. This was the Chronicles era of Magic 2.0. That's pretty much what it's. So if anyone was around during Chronicles, they will know that the Chronicles era of Magic was just boring.
Was that then just Fallen Empires afterwards and stuff like that? Yeah. Good times.
Some of the cheapest booster packs you'll ever find in your life. For retro.
I hope you like Homerids.
Yeah, it's just fucking trash.
Yeah. You know? And Thrallman says, "I love Zendikar." Yeah, well, I think we're talking about Battle for Zendikar.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not talking about Zendikar. We're talking about Battle for Shitty Car. We're talking about Standard and Modern were immensely broken. Eldrazi Winter was happening, not unlike the Urza Saga Winter, that we'd gone through like 10, 15 years prior or whatever. The complete tournament side of things, we had a GP here in Melbourne, like a week before the bannings, because Wizards didn't want to ban, despite the fact that they knew they were going to ban shit, they didn't want to ban it for this particular Modern event, which just fucked us all over, because it just meant like everyone worth a damn had gone out and bought Eldrazi and was just playing Eldrazi, so it was a really shitty tournament to play in. Like I made day 2 with Storm somehow, and I shouldn't have, because there was that much like Storm, Hate, and Eldrazi running around that like I should not have made day 2 at all.
Yeah.
And I managed to make day 2 out of just sheer fucking luck. But the amount of times I came up just against Chalice, Eldrazi, Chalice, and it's just like, fuck me dead.
Yeah. Speaking of birds and magic, I was even seeing this week. I've played a little bit of standard arena lately, just for I don't know, just to pass some time, whatever, enjoying it, whatever.
Were you playing a deck that you decided to call Crows of Paradise?
No, but I'm not. Oh, I shouldn't. I need to make something. 'Cause a couple of standards ago, I did make. I had so much fun beating up Ugin, which, like you say, Chesh, is one of those things. People are like, oh god damn, get rid of Uro, get rid of Ugin. Of course, Uro went, but like I wasn't complaining. I was like, whatever. I just used aggro birds and like flurry. Like what? I can't remember the thing is. There's a good card draw spell for birds, and there's a really good pump spell for birds that you could be really aggro and aggressive with. Anyway, so much fun. I love the Seagull deck. But this one, I'm playing a couple of decks, whatever. But I saw some people talking about Elrond's of Epiphany. They're like, this is just not fun. Like, it's not a can we ban this kind of thing. It's a turn spell that makes 2 birds. That's all like.
It does. Yeah.
Sure does. But it's true, though. It's like, if that's... I think they do pay attention a lot to quality of game, especially these days. And that's often the reason... why they make, it might not even be that it's objectively like super powerful. It can be powerful-ish, but it's more that it leads to very, very unfun game states. And I think
I'll be happy when standard rotates.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are just like, it's the throne stuff, right? It's just so ubiquitous.
I mean, pretty much it's a Ugin.
Yeah.
But like, it's fucking
you giant.
Get to 8, drop him, and everything's like game over. Especially
that's why you gotta not let them get to 8. That or make it so that they empty their hands or empty their graveyards.
Or just I love. There's nothing. Anyway. There's nothing better than have a Jawari disruption in hand. The counter unless they pay 1, which is also the MDFC. And you just ping them on that. And you just say, well, I had this waiting for you. I saw what you're ramping to. And then they just quit. It's the best. It's like the most satisfying thing ever.
I built a fun deck in Arena that was it's Rouge Flash Tribal. And
that's kind of what I've been playing. I rogues fucking rock. I know people complain about them.
I've been playing rogues as well because it's just
great.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff has
you can see people get really sarcastic and pissed off when you play it. And like someone said it. I think it was Joel actually said every emote in Arena is sarcastic or is passive aggressive.
Oh, probably. I use
when you think about it, nice, hello, like everyone can be used because we're not using. It's the whole like when you communicate by email, you don't know tone, and therefore you predetermined in Arena to think everyone's just being passive aggressive to you. So it's like nice, thanks, like good game, fuck off, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I've seen a few roguey things going around, Brandon. Like, which ones do you like to use? Like, I know I love to use Zareth San. I don't know that many people like to use Zareth San, but you can get their Ugin out of their fucking graveyard.
That's exactly what I do. But I do heavily. I use the Slither Wisp.
Me too.
So I can.
No one uses that. How good is it?
It's murder. It's absolute murder.
It's so good.
I crawl every time we reset every season, I guess. I literally just crawl up to gold and then stop playing because the grind in gold is so stupid. Yeah. But
I'm not doing it for like to pass that anymore. Anyway.
I'm just doing it to make people rage because I'll have people quit on me because I do a lot of counter spells too. So what I'll do is I'll open up.
Drown in the lock. Yeah.
The plan is to open up if they put a creature out, like let's say it's a red deck, and I put down, I don't know, I normally start off with like a black mana, so I'll put down a black mana. If they put down like a goblin or a Ragavan or whatever, I just immediately drop the Thieves Guild and just chump it. They mill 2, they do that, and then I have the sorcery.
Early
that
trades are actually
the sorcery
trades
that
are usually
brings,
beneficial. Sure.
It's bring 3 CMC back and 2 creatures.
Oh, from Ikoria.
Yeah, so I use that, and typically I'll bring back the Thieves Guild Enforcer with something else, so it triggers that if there's already another Thieves Guild Enforcer out, and then it makes it really easy because I have stuff that bounces stuff back too as well. So I have this whole circular process that goes with that. And so it's an engine by itself. So even if you do nothing and I empty everything out of your life in your deck, I get to keep going and I get to keep playing, and I have endless gas because I can generate that by pulling stuff out of my graveyard, bouncing your stuff, bouncing my stuff, and then my favorite return spell, which is immensely powerful in the rogue deck. Is the one that's run away together, I believe is what it's called.
Yeah,
so you return one of theirs and you return one of theirs. Yeah, and so what you do is you return one of your flash cards to your hand, and then you're immediately able to play it, and then you get to draw Slither Wisp, and you get to trigger off of these Guild Enforcer, and you're getting so much more value out of it than having like a straight counter, because you get more of your engine that just keeps going.
Were you saying that was in standard or like historic? You're playing.
I'm playing standard. It's still.
Oh, nice.
In standard, yeah. Which will probably rotate out soon, but yeah, it is so much fun the way I have it built.
I enjoy it. I think people hate the triggers as well because they stack up. If you got 2 to 3 Thieves Guild Enforcers, it's like everything just triggers like 5 times. You're like, oh god damn.
But I love it.
I think it connects though with, and we've talked about this, people's hatred for mill-like effects, especially in Commander 2. I think like not in correlation with how much they actually affect you, because they actually help some people if anything, but people hate it more than it affects them, if you know what I mean. Like people just generally hate mill, and it's like, no, mill's fun, like who cares? Like,
well, the thing is like if you do it right, they're gonna put their stuff down as fast as they can to kind of counteract your mill to get their own engines going, and what happens is they deplete their hands, and by the time they've done that, you've already got their win cons in the grave, and you can actually make use of their win cons, because most of the time they're permanents, and then that's when you send in your buddy to go take it out of the yard. And whether it's like a saga or like a planeswalker or an enchantment.
Yeah. Oh, you taking their permanent with Zarazan is so good. Like it's hilarious. You can sometimes start to build their deck for them, and that gets amazing. That's where you see some concedes. They're just
so
like, nope.
Here, I'll do you a favor right now, since you're interested and we're on the topic, and I'm sorry, Chesh, that this is boring for you.
Oh, Chesh loves rogues. Well, you said full of gas before, and I was going to say Chesh is full of gas. Gas all the time.
Only because he's eating onions. Okay, so
I'm getting fat.
I'm gonna put on the screen here MTG.
Nice.
I don't know why it's capturing everything else.
All that triggers something, Brandon, that we do have to action for sure. And I think whether it's on the podcast or this, if Jeff and Chesh don't turn up one week, we can just do it and build that Esper deck we're going to build together. Because there's a pile of cards I've got here, which is my Lord and Savior Chromium. I love Chromium. Has been generally the shell of an idea I've had for ages. I think I put it together kind of once, but I think we've got new cooler cards. But generally the gist is like, as many flash effects as you possibly can, because inspired by Slither Wisp, because it's so cool.
I love Slither Wisp. I think it's one of those that just absolutely is a banger, and I wish more people played with it.
Totally. And you can kind of like Nimrus is really cool with the flash thing, like that rewards it. Then like some Sagada's Aid stuff with a bit of and Vidal Canori, of course, with a bit of a hinge towards artifacts, because there's a lot of ways to give artifacts flash, and you basically just make it's kind of flash tribal, but you give it a bit of an identity in that is ultimately strapping up a Chromium, which has flash as well, with some battlecruiser cannons and stuff, and just having a bit of fun that way, in good Esper good times. So yeah. You can work on that.
Oh, sure. Okay. So it's not gonna capture the game right now. I'm not really sure why.
No.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna try one more thing while we're on the topic of it, because I want you to see it, because I think you might actually find it very entertaining.
I think so. What were you saying, Josh?
No.
Oh, right.
It's making a fun joke, and it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. There we go. Okay, can you see this? All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the deck.
Interesting.
Zulaport Duelist is
I found that one really important, and no one plays it. It's really cool.
It's great because
it messes with combat so bad.
Well, you get 2 mills off of it, and you -2/-0 something. So if something's hitting you with Death Touch or whatever, you can just Most of the time,
That
most of the things with Death Touch are very low power. So
Yeah,
you
that
can do
turn
block.
one play is really important too, because like they often have that. You see that first strike knight that comes in
Yep.
with haste, and
And then
like
you
you
just
can
kill
just
it.
like go, nope. Yeah, exactly. It's awesome.
Thieves Guild Enforcer, obviously. Essence Shatter, great
You do
because
play some counters.
everyone plays a lot of stuff. Runaway Together, absolutely good. Night Bonder to reduce the cost of all your stuff.
Nice,
Also has
and it's got
flash.
flash. Yeah,
Soaring Thought Thief, obviously, because
a
it's
great one.
rogues and rogue tribal stuff. This is the one that makes the
Oh,
absolute
yeah.
gas.
Oh yeah,
You get the flash off of it, you get to bounce something, and then you get to play it. And then
Yeah.
if you do run away together on it, you get your bounce back to your hand, you get the flash again, and this in itself with run away together is a really good engine.
This is what I mean. Like, I think this and the Giant in red have been the ones where like they've just been so ubiquitous ever since they were printed. You know, yeah. Call the Death Dweller. This is sweet. Do you get put a Death Touch on? Oh, they do just get a Death Touch counter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sweet. Oh, and then a Menace on the other. Gotcha.
So typically,
Yeah,
I'll select Soaring Thought Thief and Thieves Guild Enforcer if they're in there, or two Thieves Guild Enforcers, or I can even bring the Slitherwiths back if they kill it.
Yep.
Which is great.
Love it.
And
I
then
might play that more. Yeah.
Shield Bearer triggers Slitherwisp, which is great. Also, if they do a board wipe, you can put this down immediately, get your draw, get your engine back online by holding this up, knowing that they're going to have a board wipe in place.
And look at the crows in it. Yeah.
See, there you go, the crows. And then Murderous Rider is all gas all the time, especially
Like
for
Chess.
Planeswalker removal. So it's definitely a number one for me, just because, I don't know, it's number one.
Nice.
This is the best board wipe I've used so far in Standard.
Interesting, because there's a lot of goblins I've been seeing a lot too.
Well, so I've seen a lot of goblins, I've seen a lot of elves, and then I've seen a lot of birds. And if you run birds, you're going to have like a lot of birds, and they're going to be low power birds. So this gets rid of a large selection of things. I went against an ooze deck, and this just destroyed it.
Oh no, I would have been like, oh cool, an ooze deck. And you're like, sorry.
Yeah. Obviously, Slitherwisp gives me the draw engine that I need, and then I run a single Rankle.
I enjoy Rankle too, and it catches people off guard too.
It's literally just sack removal and getting them to discard their cards because I'm drawing more than they are typically throughout the game. So
I see Rankle as a
outpace
flying Liliana, which is really, I mean, it's a poor flying Liliana, but it's still flying Liliana. It's great.
And there's our secret tech for getting shit online.
That's the best part. I don't know, because a lot of people I see with rogues, they're just doing that photocopied copyright deck. The one, pretty much you just look up MTG Goldfish or whatever, and you look up the rogues deck and you just run that. And they run the one, the Lurrus. I'm like, I don't know, like, instead of Lurrus, I'd rather run like a Call the Death Dweller and be able to run things that are higher than 3, because you can run Zera Sand, but the other part is Into the Story, which is a 4-mana draw 4, I believe, when you've got an opponent has 8 in the graveyard, and that's just an easy thing. You hold up mana because you're doing flash stuff anyway, and if in doubt, you just reload, and the card advantage is huge, kind of thing. So if you run Lurrus, you don't have to run that kind of stuff. So I don't know. Lurrus as a companion, I'm like, yeah, it's cool, but like I rather the flexibility elsewhere for sure.
Oh, for sure. Anyways, that was my arena deck. I'm sorry for taking up extra time on that, but
no, it's fun.
That deck pisses people off to no end. I've had so many people like concede on me. It's like the best.
Beautiful. Yeah, we can crap on Standard, but I don't know. It's something to do sometimes. It's good fun. So exactly. Yes.
All right. Well, we ready to get on to the main section of this?
Yeah, let's talk about a movie, if you will.
All right, Chesh. Why don't you explain it to us while this trailer goes?
Oh, okay. Let me just you know what? Let's just do it freehand.
Look at these colors.
A man and a woman in a loft a year ago is how it pretty much starts. This is a comic book adaptation by Ed O'Barr. Probably one of the best comic book adaptations you'll ever see turned into a movie, unlike Tank Girl. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Basically, Eric Draven and his fiancée have been served with eviction papers. They decided to lodge with the city a whole bunch of issues with that, and instead the the villain basically sends in his cohorts to murder, rape. Sorry, trigger warning. Murder, rape, and kill. Murder, kill. Yeah, obviously. These two people, and then Eric comes back as a reluctant superhero to enact revenge a year after he is murdered, which makes zero fucking sense. But you know what? I'm on board. This movie.
Isn't it a curse though?
No, it's not a curse. It's not. You're not being cursed by the crow. The crow brings you back to life to enact revenge.
It's like it's just a ghost thing, right? It's just
it's a ghost thing.
Yeah. Pretty much like, and I always find these fascinating to find out where, and the movies often do a good job of like telling you the rules, pretty early on, like what the rules of the powers are. And I know Chesh, you'll be very well aware of when movies do that and how they do it and how much detail they go into. But yeah, early on it's like, oh, cool. I think it looks like you may even have heightened athletic abilities potentially even, or maybe Eric had them all along. Running across rooftops, that kind of thing. It's shown early on.
Gives you superhuman powers.
Yeah, exactly. Basically. You can't really be killed, that kind of stuff too, and you can interface with this amazing crow. As I said, the aforementioned best character in the whole thing, because the crow is awesome. But yeah, exactly. Yeah, skateboarding in the rain is totally a thing that the girl does, which is badass.
I turned more to Kate and said, than skateboarding.
I love that. I said to Kate, do you know how fucking hard that is? You will go ass up every time. And there's a reason I skated for years, and I hated skating in the rain. I just never wanted to do it because you can be like, yeah, this is great. She nailed it. She's just cruising.
I just love that he never makes an attempt to land from jumping off of a building. He just
he's just
like, because he's indestructible. He's like, well,
he doesn't give a shit.
Fuck trying to land. I'm just gonna fall face first, and then just gets up.
Lands on his back, and then like has a smile on his face. Great. It's like, yeah, fine. Yeah, I didn't think of that. That's great. So Joel's seen this too. Hell yeah. But also poor bearings. Exactly, Joel. So the bearings would just like, you do that enough in the rain, you skate in the rain, your bearings kind of just get really rusty. What we would do that, and they'd just get like, they'd seize up, but then you just bomb a massive hill just to unseize them. And you feel them, they're like, and they're like,
it's because you're not packing your speed demons right.
Well, oh my god, oh mate, we were on what were the China Bone Reds that were like cheap and just good, like they were really solid kind of thing. But yeah,
I swore up and down by speed demons.
They were great. We got the speed demons like oil or whatever it was. I'm like, oh, you're gonna go fast with your bearings this time with your oil or whatever. But yeah, speed demons are great. But they're never quite the same exactly. So yeah, we used to treat our skatewear so shitty, like ride through puddles and shit. Anyway, but yeah, so I don't know. What's the next step of the journey of Eric Draven, Chesh?
So after the fact that he gets brought back to life, and before he discovers of who he actually is, because at the start he's just like, how am I alive? What the hell's going on? I don't understand any of this. Pretty much finds himself some British GP combat boots. Yes, that is what he's wearing, is British GPs.
Yeah.
And finds himself some very cool partial latex pants and some electrical tape to tape them up with.
That's what it was. Yes.
Puts on like the most fucking gothic outfit possible.
As we just saw in the background.
His long black hair flowing down over his face. He electrical tapes up his midsection in this like long sleeved shirt that is tight as fuck, and then puts on the Crow Clown like face paint using grease paint.
Because he looks at the theatrical mask, right?
Look, there's not a lot to look into or should not look into.
I know, but it's
like the whole like he comes back to life. He was once in a hippie sided like rock band, progressive rock band, basically a prog rock band. If you listen to, It Can't Rain All the Time. And then when he comes back to life, instead he comes back as an extremely like done up British looking goth.
Yeah.
In the American concrete playground, where rooftops are his jumping castles.
Which was very Gotham to me. In a great way.
So fucking Gotham. This is Batman. This is Batman, but I can kill. but
Yeah.
it's so much better
Yeah,
because
fuck yeah. Like,
so Miramax originally wrote this film off, right? 23.4 million, 23.5 million to produce. Miramax had written it off to 11.7. It made like almost $100 million.
No, it was
And
like
Miramax
50,
was just like,
50 something globally.
yeah.
yeah.
But
It
in
like
total.
it times 5 basically is what I kind of saw the dollars being as well. Like it went well.
Yeah, so
But,
Miramax was just like, oh shit, people actually like this. And it's like, yeah, because it's a good fucking movie. It has a tragic backstory to it. It took years before it actually came out after it was already like finished, basically. Because every time that they recorded scenes that, that they had to CGI, which was pretty much the entire start of the movie.
Well, did we talk about Brandon Lee at all?
Well, we'll get to that in just a
Yeah,
second.
we can't.
Because then we can
kinda
talk
have
about all
to.
the tragicness. But
The
yeah, Miramax had
tragicness.
written this off just thinking like that it wasn't going to come out, and then it like was looking like it was going to transfer hands to another distribution company, and all this shit going on. So the one thing from this that people probably now know is that this is where Brandon Lee was shot and killed during the filming of the movie due to a number of oversights leading to probably the worst movie accident that we've seen in a long time.
Oh, the worst I've heard about. Yeah, totally.
Barring the person that died on the set of Deadpool 2, but that's another thing, right? Because fucking people are idiots. But Sam, so you read up all about the primer and stuff of the gun, right?
Yeah, I don't know much gun stuff, so it kind of still washes over a little bit. I understand.
So,
but yeah, it's like you say, it just sounded like multiple people. It's that classic thing, multiple people going, oh, trusting that this has just been done by professionals. Oh, they know what they're doing, whatever. And multiple versions, like multiple instances of that leading to something that was shot with the force of a real gun anyway. So
correct. So basically what happened is they're using a real live pistol, right?
Yep.
Usually with the live pistol, they use a generally speaking, they're supposed to be using rounds that are blanks, like total blanks. These are not total blanks. These were augmented blanks. So basically what that means is you actually take the live round out of the shell casing itself and reseal it. But they hadn't taken everything out of this particular shell casing when they loaded the gun. So
and the reason being is it to have a bit of a bang and all that shit too, to actually look like, without having to do much post stuff, because
exactly
this is a low budget film at the end of the day too. When they talk about that, they couldn't even they couldn't do a full car chase. Yeah, they couldn't do a full car chase because they had to do that in miniatures, shit like that. That kind of goes to show the kind of measures. So if you can have a bit more of a dangerous gun thing, you have to be careful with it, but you can save some money and have a good effect, I guess.
Exactly. So one of these rounds was loaded, but still had fragments of the round left inside. And that is what actually killed Brandon. So Brandon was basically shot, I think it was just one round.
In the abdomen, it sounds like,
his abdomen, and hit like several vital organs or some shit.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, "Oh, great take," and then they realized that Brandon wasn't getting up, and they were like,
I think they said something like he was meant to fall forwards and he fell backwards.
And he fell
backwards.
backwards.
Like, is he joking? Like, why can't he get up? You know, it's like, well, terrifying.
Yeah, it's because he's dead.
Yeah, and
Good work.
And what a thing too, because it's like you'd think a shot in the abdomen, maybe, good chance of survival, whatever. But it's like, no, it's just managed to hit all the things,
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
it bounces around inside the body too. That's something a lot of people don't know.
That's right. That's right.
That's why frangibles are banned, except for airplanes for air marshals. But as soon as it starts to separate, the shrapnel bounces around all the bones, the cartilage, all that stuff, and it can wreak havoc inside of someone's body. That's why the hollow points are very nasty rounds, is because once it hits and expands, it just bounces around inside someone's body if it's upper chest, because it bounces off of the inner like rib cage and stuff like that. And that's why you typically don't see exit wounds and stuff like that on those. So it's
going to say too, isn't long term as well, like what it's made out of, like if you do survive whatever, it can have effects there, which leads me to musing about the goons just being absolute like hectic mayhem people they are, and like they're just taking shots and swallowing bullets. You know,
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
like
well,
you know, like
that's-
I feel like I've seen that on a TV show before. Where they're like, yeah, you keep doing this, and you're gonna like it's a party trick. I know some people have done before, or whatever. They can swallow a bullet, but like your body's not gonna have a good time trying to deal with
I
a
mean, as long
bullet
as you
like,
pass it, I
internally.
think you'll be
I
okay.
guess.
But if you don't
Yeah.
pass it, then you've got some problems.
yeah.
Oh yeah, so where'd that
you
go?
can
I don't
pass
know.
it, because usually
Like
there's
Homer
like
sticking
lead content.
Yeah,
So,
it's like Homer
you know.
sticking crayons up his nose. Like it's
Yeah, except for when
Exactly.
you get an X-ray of it, it doesn't burn like through the innards of your body trying to find it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, or like that bubble tea thing. Yeah,
So with this movie, basically, Eric Draven / the Crow comes back to life, has to work his way through all of the henchmen in what I would probably consider the darkest and yet most humorous work through to working your way up to the top, the usual
and
like
yeah,
action trope. But it's not like, like you've got Tintin who shouldn't have played with knives, and
yeah.
basically
It's very video gamey. In like
it is very video gamey, but
in a
it's
great way. Like you've got your kind of things to like in the best like vengeance kind of mission ever. Like it's great.
the way that these revenge murders are done is
Yes,
just
poetry.
amazing, right? Like
Yeah.
Tintin being stuck with all the knives, Funboy being shot. How did
No,
Funboy die?
He
He's my
died with
least
all
favorite.
the needles in
Oh,
him.
yeah,
Oh
the
yeah, of
needles.
course.
Because
Yeah,
he was
morphine's not
big
good
on
for
his
you. Yeah.
needles. And Skank dead, Skank over there.
Yeah, but he went out a
But,
window.
yeah.
What's the other one in the car?
It's like Eric did. T-Bird.
T-Bird.
T-Bird. Dying in his
Yeah.
T-Bird.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting blowed up.
Yeah, it's all like
yeah.
poetic kind of because it's like it's almost like you do have a bit of like in his situation he's got a bit of time to kind of consider what he'd do as the most like what is the justice in this kind of thing, and it's like
It's funny that you
he
say
can
the
almost
word-
do anything because he's invincible. Like it's great.
It's funny that you say the word poetic, because the description, or the original description of Eric Draven is like a poet and his fiance get killed.
Yeah,
He's
rock
then
poet.
brought back to life to wreak vengeance, and I'm like, he's not a fucking poet. He's a musician. There's a big fucking difference.
Oh
Come
yeah,
on.
but there's poetry in there. I like seeing.
I
poetry.
like the rain.
Can't rain all the time. Can't
Doesn't
rain
have to
all
rain
the
all
time.
the time.
Is that you, Eric? Is that you?
Yeah. I'm just speaking of which, what a banging soundtrack too. And I what? Yeah. Realizing another like the best like I felt like I was really watching Cheshire's movie, and I understand a bit of Cheshire here. Like which is like this is all
This
the
is
things you
very
love.
much me. This movie,
aesthetic,
when you watch this
the,
movie,
like-
you can see like why I would dig this so much,
Yeah.
because it's fun, even though the content is fucking dark as shit.
Oh, yeah.
It's very goth and very dark. It has an amazing soundtrack where you have like, you know what, fucking Lemmy is on it. You have 9 Inch Nails. You have
Cure.
The Cure. You have who else? There's a heap of stuff in here I fucking dig. It's
Medicine
like-
was like playing early on, I think. There's a couple of bands that literally actually play, which is kind of fun. In that
actually
how good is
play
that
on the-
club as well? There's literally a dude with a fucking angle grinder up on the roof, like making sparks fly behind them. I'm like, and then like the lights in the cages, like that aesthetic is insane. Like it's so funny. But it's-
Stone Temple Pilots, Big
Yeah,
Empty,
yeah,
which
true.
is a great song, by the way.
Mhm.
And I don't really like Stone Temple Pilots. Violent Femmes, Color Me Once
Yeah.
is fantastic. Roland's Band, Helmet, Pantera,
Mhm.
For Love Not Lisa, My Life with a Thrill Kill Cult,
Mm.
After the Flesh, which is a great song.
There's a Joy
Jesus and
Division
Mary
cover, isn't there?
Chain. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jane Sewberry, Medicine. It's just like an amazing 90s soundtrack that is, you can
Yes,
imagine was
yeah.
just like my clubbing soundtrack. You know?
Yeah, totally.
I will say this because now that we've gotten through the description, I'll give you my quick review here. It did not hold up well for me. I seen this a long time ago, and I rewatched it, and I'm not saying I didn't like it. I just didn't like it. Also, one of the things that really bothered me as I watched Spawn not too recently, I'm
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
sure they had the same cinematographer for Spawn as they did The Crow, because they're both atrocious with the rotoscoping and green screen. It is really bad, like bad, like tropey bad. And I guess that's the aesthetic at the time, because there's multiple movies
1994 as
that
well.
had
Well, they
that
both came out
aesthetic.
around the same time as well. So
Well, that's why I'm saying I think it's the same cinematographer, because it's
and they
atrocious.
probably
in my
both came out for Miramax. So
Yeah.
so that immediately like turned me off, because I just recently watched Spawn, and as much as I loved that movie when I was a kid, it did not hold up the test of time when I look back on it. I love the characters, I love what they did, but goddamn, every effect in there was atrocious. So anyways, that kind of spoke to this and where I feel about it. The music, awesome, banging. I loved it. Listen to all that shit
so
when I was
banging.
in the 90s.
Yeah, it's a postcard of that time too, which is really nice. Yeah.
The acting, I've seen some of those actors in other movies, and they did a much better job. So I think it comes down more to the screenwriter than it does the actors, because I've seen them do way better in other movies. So I'm gonna say the screenwriting is shit. I also will say that the choreography was very lacking, especially for that time. There, in the action scenes, things felt kind of like, you know how like someone goes a punch and then you see someone like duck or move before the punch ever comes, and you're just like, okay, that's a wrap, and then they just keep it. That's what it felt like for some of those action scenes. And so it was very like linearly predictive in how they were going to move, because it was so staged. And back then, sure, it was great because you were obviously leading into the story on that, but watching it now is
you're
just
like you're in movie mode, like,
yeah.
and it's things have to go. Like, I'm thinking the last bit too, and spoilers, but like where what's his name? What's the Yorgmoth looking guy called again? The head dude. He's on the
Top Dollar.
rooftop. Top Dollar, and he's got the knife to his face, and that's in the position where that's kind of, you put yourself in that position, because whatever move Eric makes, whatever, like it will land on the knife kind of thing. He still manages to go, well, I can hold your whole face. You know what I mean? Like, without encountering the knife, that kind of thing too. So it's, I don't know, things often favor, of course, the narrative, and that's fine. And
Jump cuts were
whatever.
rough.
Yeah.
The scenes where people were supposed to be surprised, they didn't look very surprised. So overall, for me, it just didn't hold up in what they could have done with it at the time. Granted, budget, whatever. I get it.
Yeah.
They didn't like their screenwriter. Maybe they shot him in the leg as well as Brandon Lee at the time. I don't know. But that's my personal feeling about it. And there are many scenes in there. In fact, I think the flashback scenes are my favorite out of the whole movie, because they
think
were
they
better
do
composed and actually had good compositions. Everything else,
such a good job. Yeah.
everything else was just like really, really poor camera work and cinematics, as well as, again, the use of CG, or not CG is a terrible word. The use of special effects that they had used were atrocious.
And a lot of them had to, I guess.
And the
too.
compositions for a lot of the action scenes were not, I don't want to say industry standard, but were not even close. And so they felt really off. And either they were too close or too wide. And their delivery of it is what I very much disliked.
It was a very flashy movie too, as far as like if you, the seizure warning almost level. Like,
that didn't
Oh,
bother
you
me
need
as
a
much. That didn't bother me as much. But it was mainly the compositions of a lot of the shots, and I know that they were trying to work around the sets that they had and stuff like that. But I mean, it is what it is.
You mean
I'm
the
not.
sound stages that they had?
Don't get me started on the audio quality. It's literally like someone talking into a muddy microphone while it's underwater.
yeah.
And the music is
we
blasting louder than the audio of them talking.
Yeah. Oh, Dora, we made that joke. I said to Kate, I was like, oh, it's like Cheshire's old audio, like some of the dialogue scenes.
Wow.
Yeah.
We joked.
There's a couple times where I was like, you know what, fuck this, I'm going to turn on subtitles, because I think he just said, I'm going to suck your dick, and it's just like, oh, let's have some tea. And I'm just like, that's not what I heard at all, but whatever.
The one I remember was Tintin scene, when that battle, like there's a moment there they're talking to each other, and they're just clearly like the audio is from a room, and it's
Yeah.
like it doesn't have any like.
Murder, murder. Let me tell you about murder. It's fun, it's easy, and you're gonna learn all about sucking my dick.
Well,
Very quotable
most
movie.
movies they do a voiceover on top of the recording and they fill in where it's missing. And I'm guessing because Brandon Lee did not make it through the second part of production, they had an issue with some of that dialogue, and it was either normalized with what they have or find someone else to voice over, which is not going to work because everyone already had his voice in mind. So that wasn't going to work. So I wonder if they went that direction because of which, but it made it very cumbersome to watch as a movie, and it made it very unenjoyable to constantly turn it up when I needed to hear something and then turn it down as soon as like it went to the next scene where they're fucking blaring the music for no reason. So overall, I would give it a 6 out of 10, only because I actually liked the movie when I was a kid, but watching it now is just. There are too many things wrong with it for me to find it a redeeming movie, opposed to when I watched it back then.
I think 6 is still a positive score, so
It's
no,
still a
that's
positive
fair.
score.
That's absolutely fair. No,
I mean, even 5 would be fine. It's 5's above 0.
exactly.
Just saying.
It wasn't a waste of time to watch. I think.
No.
Like,
It was
No,
for what
not
it
at all.
was. It was still entertaining, and I think if they went back and someone voice over everything, I think it would actually come out pretty okay. I don't think it would be bad. I think it would actually.
You could
come
do a
out
good
pretty
remaster.
Right. Yeah, and the girl narrating was very irritating too.
Don't get me started on
But anyways, I digress. Sam, what would you say about this movie?
I love that part you said about some of the effects and the framing of them, and I just remember that when the pawn shop blows up with just the 1994 verbosity, like it's just like not a little bit of flame out the window, like we're talking sparks and like
gas I smell.
as if it was like it was an oil refinery or something. And I love the like over the top just explosions of just shit when you need to. Like it's the best. I was half expecting any time like a car crashed into the others or that kind of thing. Bang, like GTA level explosions, because that's what that happens, right? Everything like nudge it and it's an explosion. But the way I look at this film, and I did overall, like for the most part of watching it last night, I generally had a pretty good time and in watching it. And the way I put it is, I'm very susceptible to enjoying just visual movies. I like to look for a bit more substance sometimes and a bit of intrigue and like what's going on, or what are the rules, as I said before, and are there interesting ways they kind of invert. And I felt like this is an interesting one in that they did that much later in a movie. Like you think of the timeline of a movie, usually early on it'd be like, oh, here's your main conflict resolution. But this one, it felt like it even got to the point I'm like, wait, we're probably near the finish. Has he really had any opposition, or has it just been a pretty clear run with just this vengeance mission? And is there ever going to be an issue of his powers running out? There's never been a thing or that. And you're like, oh, so it's pretty fine. I think he just walk in there and do what the fuck he wants, and it's kind of like it's great, and you're laughing, especially that showdown in the actual like on the table and against everyone there. But of course, we do get to the point where it's like, yeah, it turns out if the sniper hits the crow, you start to lose some abilities, and it's like, and then that was the thing too. We're talking about some of the the choices of almost plot armor, that kind of stuff as well. It is what it is, but he gets shot in the shoulder first, and my only narrative, like my rationalized kind of idea for this, is that his powers are waning, I guess, rather than just completely diminished, because the crow's alive, right? So,
but that's why he gets shot in the shoulder, and then he looks at his shoulder and goes, fuck.
And he's like, you're bleeding everywhere.
Like, oh, I'm actually bleeding out. That's not closing up. Something is wrong. This isn't good.
Yeah. So I imagine he's still got some like vigor from the whole experience, because he's still a walking corpse essentially. And then of course he cops, and I remember now, he cops a whole fucking sword to the torso, and it's like, and manages to pick up the girl off the rooftop and have enough strength to do that. Of course, like he's clearly like hurt, but yeah, I don't know. Again, I can't really critique that because they're rules of a fantasy-ish thing. But that all aside, I'm willing to give like things, That's fine. A
He's-
bit of
He's not
leeway,
a
'cause-
walking corpse. They explain that at the start.
Oh no, you're right. He's
He's
still
brought back to life.
exactly. He's still technically
Yeah.
He's not a
So he's
zombie.
not a zombie. He's, he's actually been brought back to life. But the crow
kinda
gives him
connect-
special powers. And once the crow gets injured / dies, that's when he starts to lose some of those powers, which still doesn't make sense. And I'm going
as
to
I
get
say,
there in a sec.
The Crow, absolute badass. Like, does some eye decimation, which made me so happy. Anytime the crow shouted out, Cake and I cheered because I just love crows are the goofiest, awesome animal ever. Like, they're just so smart. They're so funny. We watch them all day around, where we live, and it's like I've watched them do incredibly clever things. Like,
You sure that's not ravens?
Well, they're Australian ravens, but we had that chat, and I'm not even going to bother deciphering. But you watch them open bins. They can do very interesting stuff. They're very funny. I love them.
They're
I think
very smart. They're
so cool. They just got the goofiest little face. You just want to hug them. So a crow as quote unquote a main character in a movie made me very happy. But the way, as I was kind of alluding to before, visually stimulated and driven movies like this, where there's some substance and it's a pretty straightforward narrative as far as just on a vengeance mission, and then how he does it poetically is more just like a romp kind of a visual kind of showcase and fun thing to watch that you kind of are more paying attention visually rather than cerebrally, I guess. In like a kind of Mad Max way, like the new Mad Max, where it's like that's fine for it just being this visual amazing design piece, because that's the way I see it. Like the church kind of aesthetic, like his loft as well was insane. Like the focus on the music,
very goth.
It's
goth.
A lot of these things are built on and
All
what
the
they did.
candles. The
Yeah,
fact that he just happened to have theatrical stage makeup and a massive gothic mirror to do it in.
And I'm imagining, Shesh, what this look as well validated at the time for he's almost our anti-hero for the goth audience in a way. It's this is and some of what that would have been stylistically. I don't know if anyone's wearing
I
boots.
used to dress like that.
Exactly.
Before the Crow came out.
I imagine how much this movie would have been then. I mean, has probably still been just cosplayed to the end of time now. It's such a cool, easy one to do as well. You can get the right things, get your electrical tape. Although the fun part of that, all I was thinking of afterwards was cosplayers and then ripping all the electrical tape off their hands. I'm like, oh, that's got to hurt. Have you done it, Jesh? Exactly.
Jesh used to push safety pins through his eyes and earlobes and attach them to his nipples. Yeah.
Ooh,
Prophet of
no.
Aries, thank you very much for the sub for 4 months. You're 4 months in. I love it. Thank you.
Although I have had snake bites, septum piercing, and piercings in both my ears. And my nipples as well. But
I mean, bottom line, for a fairly straightforward, it's kind of a revenge fantasy, realistically, in a cool way, but it's fun. It feels like video gamey. And the whole story and background of Brandon Lee. Even seeing people talking about Brandon Lee, there's people saying he could be one of the great actors today, or would just go on to an amazing career, keep going. Who knows? It's yeah, who knows? Exactly, and it's quite tragic, and it gives this whole movie quite the mystique as well. The what surrounds it with the events, and that's by the time the movie came out, that's the way the movie was presented. They're in his final tragic appearance. Holy crap!
I just want to say that Epic Rap Battles said the most brutal line I've ever heard in any form of dogging against cinema, which is no one in your family lives to see a sequel.
Whoa! Oh. Yep, exactly.
Have you seen that the Bruce Lee versus Clint Eastwood Epic Rap Battles?
Oh no.
I watched all the Epic Rap Battles personally.
God, it's so good.
No, and check them out. But yeah, I mean we can go down that whole thing of the Lee family as well, and almost the eeriness of the events, because as I said, I was the reading, and there's all the events as well that happened with the shooting of this film. That was awful. The filming of the production of this film, the amount of other wild things that went wrong, people hitting power lines, people crashing cars, and all these I said to Kate, it's almost like Macbeth or something. Is Macbeth the one that's technically, it felt like that, and then all the follow-on afterwards, a lot of people said they were haunted by it, absolutely haunted by the events. But I mean, all in all, I want to put this down for me a solid 7 out of 10. I really enjoyed it visually. I love the aesthetic. It felt really immersive. That's my big bottom line for that, because I felt I was in a Gotham-like setting, but kind of better, like in a way that I kind of did care about in a cool way. It was like, yeah, exactly. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. So,
You wanna hear the line or the quote from Epic Rap Battles?
yes,
Sure.
Okay. All right. Let's.
I should say too, 7 out of 10 syringes in what's his name's chest. Yeah.
Fun boy.
Fun boy.
Okay. So since we're going through Discord, I think I have to share the screen in order for you to hear it.
Nice.
So.
And Chesh, you can follow up with a score, because we haven't got one from you.
I haven't even talked about the movie
So
yet.
for you
Exactly,
guys that are
true.
watching us, you're gonna hear it just fine. For Chesh and Sam, you're gonna have to go to Discord and you're gonna have to watch the live stream real quick here.
Let's watch this live stream. Hey,
Let me know when you see it.
Uh-huh. I can
don't
see
know where I'm
this
looking.
fucking chair.
where am I looking? Ah, yes, I see.
You ready?
This fucking chair. Right, this fucking chair.
You feel lucky, punk? That's what I'm asking. You can't be too tough. You got killed by an ass brain. Your 1-inch punch, same size as your pecker. Leave the rapping to me. Stick to Chinese checkers. I'd beat you in round 2, but that'd be unbelievable. No one in your family ever lives to see a sequel.
Fucking brutal.
I'm interested to see what Bruce comes back with.
You can catch that next time.
Exactly.
It's time on Dragon Ball Z. Okay, so for me, this is one of my favorite movies. Brandon is correct that a lot of the scenes don't stand up that well today as what they did back in '94. Absolutely. Some of the dialogue is a bit weird and clunky, and some of it is obviously intended more for the comic pages than it is for a movie. Not to say that's a bad thing, because this entire movie is basically a comic book.
Yes,
the
exactly.
way it is shot, the way it's over the top. I'm surprised they didn't put in, comic panels when they were doing like switching of scenes. But then again, it's probably because they cut so absolutely hard through their cuts rather than like making good transitions. It's just like,
Probably
especially in
budget
the
too,
Tintin scene, with when Brandon like raises the knife to kill Tintin as he's pushed Tintin up against the fence. That is your first really bad hard cut of the movie, where it just does this like horrendous cut. It's horrendous.
Oh, it
leading
puts one
into it,
knife in and then just moves
out
on,
of it.
and then they go back to him. He's got like 5 in them or whatever.
Doesn't even put the knife in.
Yeah,
You just
no,
see
exactly.
him bring it up, and then that's where the cut happens. It's
almost in a
horrible.
like censorship kind of way. Like, oh, okay.
Almost,
But
yeah. And I feel like that is partially due to the low budget. 23 million versus getting, a return of 100 is pretty big. Everything about this soundtrack is amazing. The fact that they actually went to Robert Smith and went, we're doing this thing, and it's from this comic, and we really want you to do it. And we know that you are not a goth band, but the aesthetic here is extremely dark. And Robert Smith went like, yeah, we'll do it. Robert Smith is notorious for going, I am not a goth. I hate the goth subculture. I don't understand. Despite the fact that he is basically fucking goth subculture. Like, get over yourself, Robert Smith. Please, just fucking get over yourself. The fact that Ed personally went to Trent Reznor, none of the movie dudes did. Ed O'Bard personally went to Trent and went, hey, I'm doing this thing. And Trent went, oh yeah, cool. This is amazing. I love your comic. Oh, okay, great. Well, that was easy. A lot of the music was actually made directly for The Crow and written for this movie, which is just stunning.
Can I take a little moment there when speaking of the music and the origin and why that really made the aesthetic and the whole thing about another little point I just found here that they said James O'Barr stated on the Crow DVD that when he met with the movie's executives, they originally wanted to make this a musical starring Michael Jackson. He immediately laughed uncontrollably, thinking it was a joke, only to find they were quite serious. It was only until
absolutely serious.
Brandon Lee and Alex Proyas came on board to the movie to take a more serious role. Wow!
You see,
Holy
it's
shit!
funny because there were 6 other The Crows that were looked at casting that were just not good enough for the role.
Yeah,
just not good enough. Initially, they did go to Brandon Lee and went, "Hey, we want you for this thing," and Brandon was like, "Nah."
as
Like,
Joel said, abs too. Fuck. Wow.
Yeah, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to be my father. Like, I want to do drama. I want to do like really cool drama stuff. I want to, spread my acting wings. I don't want to be just known as like a guy who kicks and punches.
Yeah.
And eventually he was like, "Yeah, okay, I'll do it." Sorry, 1 second.
Joel's just going, "Could you imagine?" And I'm like, "Well, it's pretty much just that. What's that Michael Jackson film clip where he's dancing on top of the car?"
Who cares? It's fucking
yeah,
Michael
no,
Jackson.
Exactly.
Dude's dead. I'm happy with that.
Smooth criminal.
It's all good.
Whatever.
Yeah, didn't go to jail for what he should have gone to jail for, to be honest. So a lot of the action scenes, a lot of the choreography is pretty bad. Again, probably due to low budget. The special effects really don't hold up in a lot of the scenes. However, some of the entry scenes for the Crow going into during the revenge killings, such as like, going in through the window to kill Funboy and like, with his guitar and doing that huge run up with the guitar is fantastic. There's a lot of like power fantasy in this movie, which usually I would be like, it's just revenge porn and like, why did we need this? But with this particular movie, the way it's built in is so that you don't really notice it until you start thinking about it, right? You
I feel
don't
like this
really
would have
see it.
This would have influenced a lot after this too. Like there's
It's
certain moves
absolutely-
he probably did that. Remember that when he did that on the Crow. That's probably what they're thinking in the back of their head when they're designing characters and stuff. Like has that like panache to it.
For a lot of the aesthetics here, I want people to do a comparison between this and The Matrix.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And there is a lot here that you can transfer across. The darkness, the costuming, especially the costuming, the fact that like both of them have that same dark aesthetic. The fact that originally they weren't going to put the rain in every scene. But again, Ed O'Barr like getting involved, going, no, we need to have that because it makes it all feel very gloomy, and adds to the overall atmosphere of the actual movie itself. Can you imagine if it didn't rain all the time in this fucking movie?
Yeah,
It would be nowhere near as good.
You're
needed
right.
that
We
to
wouldn't be
show-
so impressed by her skating skills.
I was about to say
exactly.
that she's surfing exactly. In a way, like the end of Blade Runner type thing too. Like
Yeah.
It's there's a drama that adds when there's water dripping on people's faces and
Yeah, exactly. The other thing is that this is a highly quotable movie.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
There
so
aren't many
good
lines
quotes.
in the movie.
I know,
No,
but that's why you
You
remember
don't
them.
need them because you can quote almost every single fucking one of them.
It's a joke about
You know?
farts. Like,
I said don't move. If you move, you're dead, Snow White. I'm dead, and I move. Onions make you fart. It's more
Yeah.
like surfing than skating.
yeah, she's a badass. Like, I love it. Yeah.
I love Blade Runner, so if you're gonna make that comparison, I want to hear the Edward James Olmos telling us the story of how he came up with his character. Other than that, the movie can suck it. So
T-Bird has a friend that shouldn't have played with knives, like the coat.
Yeah, exactly. It's so good.
But that being said, this is for me a solid 8 out of 10, despite all of the problems that it has. And there is some really big fucking problems with the mysticism of the Crow. Like, why does the bird give a shit about bringing a human back to life to enact revenge? Why
it
the
doesn't.
fuck does this bird actually care?
Crows
Why
are
the
smart.
hell does he bring back, a dude an anniversary year after the death, not a day after?
Yeah. It's like a calendar year,
after
exactly.
to the day, like
Yeah.
on All Hallows Eve, right?
Crows have symbolism everywhere too, right? Like
Yeah.
and ravens, like
What powers does the crow get? Like obviously super.
all the powers. We know this.
Invulnerability, no flight. Why don't you get flight from the crow? It's a crow. Why
doesn't the crow get the power to peck eyes out of people's faces?
Why isn't the crow invulnerable? Why are you
That's what I'm
invulnerable while the
saying.
crow is around?
I don't see the crow jumping off buildings and landing on his ass. Okay, I just want to point
he doesn't need to because he could fucking fly. It's fine. Prof says crow wanted the McNuggies.
Wow.
Anyways.
But yeah.
Crow's the best, and I reckon Crow's the biggest mystery of the movie, and I love it. That's why I love the Crow as well. Like it's so cheeky.
I suspect that I watch this movie probably once a year, usually around Christmas, along with me watching A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
And surprise to no one, Die Hard.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are my two Christmas movies that I watch every year. Yep.
Every year. And this is why I'm surprised that Brandon hated this movie much more than I thought that Brandon would.
I don't think he hated it. But
I didn't hate it. I just said it didn't.
The qualities didn't. Yeah,
over time. This is not a movie that stood up over time. I didn't hate it. I loved it because I loved watching this as a kid. But as I grew up, I don't think I watched it in my late teens, early 20s, and I only just started rewatching this I've watched it now 3 times this year. And so I that's why I had so much to say about it, is because the first time I rewatched it, I was like, wow, this didn't hold up. The second time I rewatched it, I was like, okay, I love this movie, but I mean, I'm still going to watch it. And then the third time when we did it for this, I was like, well, I'm actually going to critique it this time because I've already got feelings about it, you know?
Which is fair.
Yeah.
Joel's saying,
time.
I was going to say, Joel's saying, I always assumed the crows just chat with all the dead people. Yeah, true. And became friends with Eric Draven. Maybe the crow was a massive fan of Eric's band.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe
because apparently it can't rain all the time.
Aren't they playing? The girl plays some of the music, and the crow goes in. And
I was gonna say I feel like the crow is tied to the little girl because it was only after a couple of scenes that was the catalyst for him coming back. But
it's funny you mention that because in the sequel to this, the girl is tied to the crow. Yeah. The girl is older, and the crow comes and finds her and leads her to someone that she needs to dig out of the ground.
It's not a numbered sequel. It's the Crow City of Angels. Yeah,
it's the Crow City of Angels. Yeah, and she's got like a tattoo of like angel wings on her back at this point, and is heavily goth and no longer skateboards apparently.
That's upsetting.
But
first mistake.
The crow is definitely tied to her in some weird way that they never fucking explain, which is bullshit.
I can see it's clearly not as good of a movie. And
it's fucking trash. That movie,
Iggy Pop's in it.
Movie, he is in it.
He just appears everywhere at that time, right?
He plays Iggy Pop, so that's great. You don't need Iggy Pop to play anyone but like a drugged out like.
I was about to say Iggy Pop plays Iggy Pop.
Iggy Pop plays Iggy Pop. The
Pro
third
2,
movie was shit. Please don't watch the TV show. I think that was the one with the American Indian, and it was just like really fucking bad, and just really fucking bad. Here's a little bit of trivia for you. They tried rebooting The Crow multiple times, with the most recent one being 2017, with Jason Momoa, who was set to produce and star.
That's right. I saw that. I saw a Google image searching. Yeah.
Yeah, and never happened. The reason being is because, surprise, surprise, Jason Momoa is a massive goth. Things probably most people don't know, but
I mean, it's clear by his eyeliner choices in every movie.
Not in every movie, but like, have a look at him just like hanging out in Hawaii and shit, and you get the feeling like, oh, this dude's like a proper full-on fucking goth. Right.
Well, he's really big into like motorcycles too, like choppers and shit.
Yeah, he loves his bikes.
I don't know if I told you guys, but I didn't meet Jason Momoa, but I know him by proxy of like family at the time, family who had dated him, and the story of how he got his scar actually.
I was gonna say, is that your adventures in Hawaii?
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. And he's just a unit. Like
Oh, he's super cool. Honestly,
He seems like a really good dude. Yeah.
Jason Momoa is not on my radar until Conan. I really liked the Conan series, and then when they rebooted it with Jason Momoa, I'm like, who the fuck is this? And then I watched it, and I was like, wow, that was really good. And he's like perfect for the role. I couldn't have thought of a better person for that role. And then
he also doesn't look too big. Like, he doesn't look like The Rock big, but he looks
Yes,
big.
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
he's stocky, not broad, I guess is a good way to put it. And then the movie, he had a couple movies come out during that time. I was like, okay, he's back to the shenanigans of being a normal actor. And then I saw him in Once Upon a Time in Venice, and I could not stop laughing. I absolutely loved him in that movie, as short as a appearance as he had, which he was acting like a cholo in that movie, which was just absolutely hilarious to me that they cast him that way. But I've become a fan more of his recently from those two movies than some of the other stuff he had done.
The Game of Thrones is yeah, Game of Thrones. Prof saying too. I just remember seeing some stuff more like out of scenes and like how he acted as a person and that kind of thing, and just especially like Emilia Clarke, of course, because they spent a lot of time, as there's a couple in the movie or what, in the show, but it was some of that stuff. You're like, wow, this just seems like an absolute like delightful person to work with, and really like considerate and just a nice person as well. Reminds me of Steven Adams, like that kind of NBA player. Well, he's Kiwi, and he's kind of demeanor, like just knows he's pretty cool, but like isn't going to be an ass about it, and it's just generally pretty lighthearted about things, which is really nice. So yeah, nice.
All right, so before we move on too much, I told both of you that I already had a movie picked out for next week.
Oh, did Chesh? You scored it? Yeah, no, never mind. Sorry.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I've
got a final point to make about this, but go for it.
Oh, have you not done your points yet? I thought you did already.
I did my points.
No. As I alluded to,
Sam's just not paying attention.
No, I've got a magic segue to make with this, but do your thing first. That's fine,
all right. So the movie that I'm choosing for next week is one that's actually Australian made. Believe it or not.
Oh shit!
It's called Little Monsters, and I had a great time watching it. I thought it was an absolute blast. But it's up to you guys to decide whether it is also an absolute blast.
Abe Forsyth directed it. Shit, I remember him from a few shows.
I've never heard of this movie.
Yeah.
It is actually quite comical. I very much implore you to go watch the trailer afterwards, and then obviously for those who are here on the show, watch the movie. It is surprisingly a lot more funnier than I thought it would be, and I am very sad that its distribution was very limited to, I believe it was Hulu, Universal, UK, and I think it was like one small thing in the United States.
Yeah, shit.
I haven't seen it then.
Well, we've heard nothing about it too. It's got Kat Stewart in as well, and Kat Stewart is shit. I've seen her down the shops. She's like an absolute legend in like Australian drama and also like theater and stuff like that. Holy crap!
Okay, so this is Enthrallment. This is not Little Nightmares in 1989. This is Little Nightmares 2019. Sorry, Little Monsters 2019. This is not the 1989 one. I just want to make sure that that's clear. With this, yeah. Anyways, it actually got 3 awards, 2 of which were from Australia, the Critics Association and the Cinema for Television Arts and whatnot. And then it got nominations for several other awards throughout most of this stuff. And it came through Sundance in America. Oh, there it is, Sundance, through the American side, and that's how I found it. If you don't know, I really like the Sundance Film Festival and all of the smaller stuff that they do with more independent films. I used to watch IFC. I actually paid for the IFC channel a long time ago. Greg the Bunny, anyways, I love movies in general. I watch a metric fuck ton of them. But yeah,
we have a really good one, the Melbourne International Film Festival, and that's always just an absolute highlight of the year. And I usually try and pay a bit more attention to it. Sometimes it drops a bit. Of course, when we can go out, a lot of our smaller cinemas have really good showings and stuff like that. And I know actually regionally now in where we live, we've got a couple that do some really. It's like an opportunity to see stuff you're just not going to see anywhere, which is amazing too. And like you say, Brandon, it's you just get a much better idea of what's actually going on with cinema and how it's developing, rather than just every top of the line, Hollywood kind of thing going on. And I think it's cinema's been in a good place. Like it's, people have more of an appetite for stuff they're not expecting as well. It's been.
Oh
good.
yeah, absolutely. And just to be clear, this is not. I don't rate this a 10 out of 10. This isn't the best movie I've ever seen.
Oh no,
it's slightly different, and it is a comedic horror, and their take on it is a lighthearted, funny, but then when it gets serious, it doesn't take itself too seriously in the moments that it does, which is what makes it, a really fun, lighthearted watch, which is why I really liked it.
So
I can tell.
In other words.
Right.
Yeah, I can tell that's your favorite thing, like almost attention balance for comedy and horror to be put together in the most delightful way, that based on what we've watched of yours already, and you seem fascinated by it in a great way, because I always am like, how's this gonna work? And it's always a funny way how you do that. And I always say Twin Peaks is that one that the first season did it so well that you could be deeply unsettled by things, but like laughing your head off about a cup of coffee afterwards. Like it's got to be the most, like, the top of difficulty to and finesse to actually pull off in a movie or piece of screen in any way. So no, delighted. It's gonna be good. Like you say, this is not the place to discuss 10 out of 10s really. Like, I mean, we may get to some, but like I love discussing the little like minutia of the middle ground stuff, and especially if it's something not many people are seeing.
I typically put most movies that are produced over a certain budget in a very strict category of AAA titles, right? Where they're uncomparable to any other movie because they throw fuck tons of money at it. And yes, of course it's successful because they threw a fuck ton of money out of it. But the problem that I have with a lot of AAA titles is they lack uniqueness, and they lack they just lack something that separates itself from the last AAA title in most cases. And it's very easy to take the same thing and then just drop it in the same movie the next year on the next AAA title. Granted, you do the same with most movies, so it's not like the formula is different, but it's about the delivery and how well they execute it that I find more movies that are independent or smaller that I tend to appreciate more, because they put all of their time and energy into making something more unique than it is.
Which is a leap of faith, because it could flop, and that's the whole point of it. I'm always fascinated by creativity, and it's got to be so hard to do. Prof says, I find movies that are designed by committee off-putting. Yeah, totally. And that's like, for a smaller kind of crew to go, no, this is actually more of an original vision. We're not doing to strictly make money. And I think it's never that black and white either. I think there's AAA titles that do have great creative teams involved, and they're able to do things that, like, I'm going to do something creatively different, but it's not, as we know in work cultures, that kind of thing, sometimes getting more progressive things across the line isn't always the easiest, or that kind of thing, because it is a committee type thing. So
it's
definitely
not
more
by no means saying that AAA titles are bad, or I
hate
them, because I still watch them, and a lot of them I still really like.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so but the problem is I can't put them in the same categories that I put other movies, because not every movie gets a $300-400 million budget to make, right? And so I don't want to say it's unfair, but it's like saying Five Guys in California, which has no drive-thrus, is comparable to In-N-Out. One is a dine-in-only restaurant, and the other has a fast food to delivery style, right? The burgers in one may be good for you, may be good for me. Who cares? They're non-comparable. Because one lives in a fast food space, the other one doesn't live in a fast food space, or at least in California, they don't have drive-thrus. But that's like a good example of it, right? Like IHOP. You don't compare IHOP to McDonald's pancakes. They both make pancakes, sure, but you don't compare the two. They operate in two very vastly different spaces, and I quite like McDonald's pancakes over Wendy's pancakes for the 1 week that they made them, like 10 years ago. Like, that's a good comparison, fast food pancakes. But you don't take like IHOP versus like McDonald's and go, oh, well, IHOP is clearly better. And it's like, well, no shit, it's clearly better. They make it on a fucking griddle. They don't microwave it. Like, Anyways, that's how I feel about movies in the same vein.
Love it, love it. Yeah, and I was going to say, you could, in partiers sometimes goes, oh, is that movie $200 million better, and that kind of thing. And that's where we get sometimes into the audiophile thing, like we say, the diminishing returns. It's like they're apples and oranges anyway, so it's fine. What I was going to do to round out this movie, and I don't think this can apply to every movie, but maybe in the movies where we do have some really visually stimulating stuff and evocative stuff to kind of play off. It got me inspired a little bit, also based on absorbing a bit of content from our good friends, the Manor Squad, One More Manor on YouTube, because Cowboy Kyle was on the podcast on Commander Crunch last week. We had a great chat about lots of things. One part of their content is they do, I think, weekly. I've got to remember what it's called. Thematic Compass, I'm pretty sure it's called, and they make a deck based on a thing. Like they did Team Rocket with Zara, Renegade, whatever, the Commander Legends legend. They've done a Dark Souls deck. They've done all kinds of things. The Conjuring, making decks or like things. They even did one that had a discussion about Breaking Bad, who was the analogs in Magic with Breaking Bad. It was very, very funny, and it was like really, really cool to think about. So I'm going to ask you guys as a fun way, and we don't have to do it every movie, but for this one, I think it makes sense. I was just thinking last night the whole time, I'm like, if you're going to do the Crow deck, who's your commander? And for what reason? In a cool way. Do you just go visually? Do you go something with a crow in it? Like where you're picking your colors? I think that'd be a fun way to do it. And I'll throw my first one out there. I had a few ideas, but the one I was going to go for, if I was to make the Crow deck, I'd go Mirko Vosk, Mind Drinker, the blue-black vampire. Got some vampire tendencies, I guess Eric does, but it's more that you've got this cool. Oh, he's got flying too. That's kind of appropriate. I think more just aesthetically, like kind of just looks like he's wearing what he's wearing. He's kind of, flying whatever. And it has to do with Mill, which is kind of driving your opponents insane a little bit too. And a shirtless wonder, as Joel says too. So you think of that first scene where he's climbing the wall and everything. So yeah, that would be my, if you're going to do the Crow deck. And you, of course, include a Storm Crow in there for sure. You have any ideas who your commander would be?
If I was doing the Crow, considering that he only gains power from killing the people who had brutally murdered him and his waifu, because they weren't married yet. They weren't married yet.
No, they were supposed to be married the next day, the next night on Halloween.
And clearly one-on-one you're gonna lose, but in a multiple team fight, apparently he does wrong when you kill his crow. I'm going to say Bantu the Glorified.
Oh, I kind of dig that.
Because he's got menace. There's the one-on-one. He's indestructible, but he can't attack or block unless something else dies that turn.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
And you have to sacrifice another creature in order to scry one opponent, lose one life, and you gain one life. So you're doing that leechy kind of thing. So I think Bantu the Glorified. Yeah, exactly. I think Bantu the Glorified is my choice for the Crow.
I love it. Brandon, that is exactly the answer I wanted to get, where it's not so much visually. Because I just look visually, but like that's hilarious. And you could do like reanimation as a choice or whatever, but yeah.
So I'm going to go with a deck full of blue-black birds.
Yeah,
as many bird-type creatures as I can.
It's kind of why I chose Mirko. It's like blue and black are the perfect colors.
Including Stormcrow. And I'm going to play Yuriko the Tiger Shadow.
Yeah.
Right? Because once my Stormcrow goes unblocked, Yuriko's going to come down and wreak havoc, which is Yuriko is the crow. There you go, I'm done.
I love it. I was going to make a case too, Chesh, for your rogue commander.
Plus,
is kind of
actually,
cool.
Sorry, hang on. Added flavor, because if you kill the crow before, like when I announce my attack and you kill my crow, that means that #the crow can't actually come into play. So
interesting. Yeah. There you go. Flavor rationale. I love it. Yeah, this is the perfect kind of thing. And Joel said she's on a roof.
Yeah, I was like, I've got nothing for this, and then I was like, just fucking Yuriko.
That's the fun part of it. It can be a loose thread, and that's the fun of Commander. Build things that you want.
Black because everything is like all damp and moody, and blue because it can't rain all the time.
I beg to differ because it does rain all the time while he's alive.
Exactly.
It doesn't rain all the time while he's alive.
It stops raining, doesn't it?
When?
It does stop raining.
Oh no, it's
at the end of the movie.
after. Yeah, but
that's why I said when he dies.
He's still alive.
What? No, he's not. He
spirit.
literally dies on the fucking
He
tombstone.
dies,
goes back in
he
the
dies
ground.
after.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, when he's like dying, death's door. He's almost dead,
Yeah.
and then it finally
Dying,
stops
but
raining.
not dead.
Yeah.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that.
I agree with your mum.
The other honorable mention doesn't really work because it's old man guy and Elrond, God of the Cosmos, is kind of fun because you get the crow on the back, but whatever. Actually, what's the alternate art? Oh, the alternate art has Elrond looking pretty ripped. In any case, still, I've still got to look at that deck if you could do something with it because Elrond's kind of cool. But yeah, I love those choices, guys. Really cool. And if we can ever work that into any other movies, I'm all for it. It could be a lot of fun. So nice.
Yeah.
Alrighty. What's next, Brandon?
Well, I was gonna say we could do Jackbox, but we're about an hour 30 in, and I figure you guys probably want some time back in your days since it is just beginning. So I figure we can call it here for the night. Next week, we're going to have to decide possibly a new time. We are looking to do some D&D here on the stream.
What?
So it's going to probably fit the time block that we're in now, which I know I apologize because we just moved this up because of me in the first place.
That's cool.
But I think what we might do is we discussed doing a bi-weekly thing. So we might do this bi-weekly on the off weeks of Commander, and then we can go a little bit longer on these if you guys want, or we can keep it the same time frame, but we'll discuss that more in detail offline and figure out what works best for everybody. But I do want to give you guys some time back since it is the beginning of your day, well, now middle of your day today, and just say I absolutely love hanging out with you guys, and this is a lot of fun as always.
Much appreciated. And
I
mean,
Joel has a comment for you, Sam.
Something like Hoven, because Hoven's fucking awesome. Because people would be like, that can't be optimal. Just like people looking at Eric Draven's boots. Oh my god, yeah, and the face paint. Yeah, totally. So that's the fun part
Just
of
because
any.
the boots are
I just had the same thought. I was just
top.
like, the boots. Come on,
Yeah,
Trust me.
it's
that's grasping at straws. Come on,
This is
come on,
part,
Joel.
but this is part of that power fantasy in a weird way too. That we love the little aspects of these movies about too. That like you're kind of having a go at your assailants and getting back at them. People like downplaying, or like underestimating you in a way, like, and that's what you can relate to. It's like you can just feel people like, yeah, you're not powerful or anything like that, and that's kind of part of the fun the whole time. And he just goes, shoot me, come on, shoot me, go for it. Exactly. That can't be optimal. Oh my god, beautiful.
One of the things I want to state about those British GPs that he's wearing, and yes, it is. You can tell by the curvature on the tip. The way the sole turns up, that's how you can tell it's a British GP and not a pair of Docs. Plus the way it's stitched on the side. If you were ever wondering, wearing those during rain, the fact that he would absolutely, because of the way that they are not laced up around the top, that they would get filled with water, will cause really shitty, very bad blisters.
Oh yeah,
AKA boot. What is it? Boot rash or whatever. Boot what?
Yeah, so he's being so impractical. It's not funny. Like
yeah.
Also,
just
I want to say that Oven has already been spoken for by one of the Pawn Stars. Trenchfoot. Thank you, Matt. Trenchfoot. But
Trenchfoot,
yeah,
that's the one.
That's one of the Pawn Stars. Come on, you can't put a Pawn Star.
It's this is Jeff's choice for who you'd like to have dinner or a drink with, and I agree. Hoven would be great. Everyone's got a friend that looks like Hoven too. Best part.
I don't have a friend that looks like Hoven.
Yeah, I don't think I do. Either,
I do.
To be honest, I had maybe had one growing up because he was my
Are you telling us to go find one? I feel like that's very shallow of you, Sam.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It took me a while to realize that's actually Snaug's House of Sin behind too. Like that's where it comes from. It's great. It's on the card. You look like you don't know what I'm talking about, Brandon. On the cut, Snaug's House of Sin is in the artwork, right?
I get it.
Like, as in, it's written behind him. It says Snaug's House of Sin.
Let's see it.
That's where the name... I don't know who made the Discord channel thing.
Oh
Says
yeah, I remember now. Okay, we've had this discussion.
Snarg's house is. How cool is that though? Like, it took me forever. Like, I'd been, part of you guys for quite a few months. I'm like,
Limefoot causes trenchfoot.
Exactly. I do enjoy these kind of offbeat commander theory, character theory things as well. Like the whole who makes the best band name and that kind of shit too. So always.
You know what I was just thinking? You know, it'd be even better than picking like a gothic creature for the crow.
Yeah.
You associate it with the spell Fated Return instead. Put target
That's
creature
the one that
card
makes
from
it
a
indestructible.
graveyard
Holy
and gives it
shit! Yeah,
indestructible. And you get the
Redaxos.
scry too. Yeah.
That's hot. That's actually one of my favorite reanimation spells, Brandon. I'm glad you called that one. It's really good. And it's before putting counters on shit. It's like it's just indestructible after that. It's just got the rule now. Like, yeah, it's hot. Yeah, can we get a Snarg House of Snarg the Sinful Precon? Oh yeah, shit. So there was the discussion about I think Gavin Verhey was asking, and I've said it before, but what character that's been unprinted yet, that's referenced in things would you want to see, and if it has its thing, because we saw like I don't know, like Yorgmoth was one, Urborg. No, Urborg's a place. What am I talking about? What's the other one? The Crypt, Tormod. Yeah, things like that. And like, who would it be? Snarg is an amazing one. Like, let's just find Snarg, the legendary creature. Mine was always Dingus, because the Dingus staff or the Dingus egg.
I'm still waiting for an Urza's
not a person.
Planeswalker that's actual legal.
And usable, yeah. I feel like that's just a matter of time, right? Like,
I
they'll
doubt
do
it.
I don't know. Like, they've just done another Ren and 7, Ren and 6, Ren and 7. Yeah, Gix would be awesome, because Gix is kind of only there in like one of those weird. What are those cards? The Vanguard, is it, Chesh?
Yeah, Vanguard.
Yeah.
With the
Gix
big cards.
Yeah, Gix is fascinating. Like, you see artwork of Gix, you're like, fuck, that's a creepy being for sure. So.
Oh, you know what? That's a little bit of Magic news we didn't cover. Box toppers are coming back.
What? Really interesting. I was gonna say. How much does
But they're not like planes chase cards, so fuck off wizards.
Yeah, no, I know. How many we've wanted that? Priest of Gix and Claws of Gix, and I've got a Ring of Gix. I can't remember what it does, but it does something anyway. But the other one was I was just thinking on the Crow, cast and all that stuff. Looking at how much does Yorgmoth just look like top dollar? That's just the character.
I guess sort of.
So, well,
maybe
even the
with
red
the
like
hair, but
Yeah, but
past
the
that, I don't know.
how nice is the red circle window behind that reminds you of the loft, even though he doesn't really go into the loft, but still,
doesn't.
it's like got that connection. But
It does.
anyway,
What
sorry,
connection?
I'm theory crafting everything, and I kind of in that mood.
I think
so,
you're looking
yeah.
deeper than you should be, sir.
Exactly. Wow.
You're going all 23 on us, all right?
yeah, I'm going deep lore on this one. So yeah, awesome. All right, well, yeah, I don't know. What do you want to do? You want to sign things off and do the
Yeah,
thing?
let's just call it here. We'll give you guys some time back. Chesh looks really hungry. He looks like he's about to eat himself.
I'm trying to figure out what to actually fucking eat.
Like I said, he's about to eat himself.
I'm really.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
hopefully choose for you. How does a burrito sound?
No.
Something with hot sauce. Something
I'm
with hot
fat
sauce. on
enough. I'm
Wait a
thinking
minute,
sushi.
it. Burrito bowl. Burrito bowl.
Sam,
Yeah.
I found another character that would fit the crow.
Oh, go,
Very
go,
well.
go, go.
All right, you ready? It's this one.
Oh, interesting. Fuck, your mind is quick with this stuff. It's amazing. Yeah, so
Because the crow would be the target for the counter,
The
and if it
artifact, yeah.
dies, then
But
he dies.
you've got to find an artifact pro to do it, I guess, which they do exist, like Clockwork
No,
Haven
I
or some
like it.
shit.
No,
like,
why
that's
would
fine.
you do that? Just use one of the new lands.
What do you mean?
in-
You've got to put it on an artifact. Oh yeah, that works.
Yeah. So I'm just saying the artifact would be the crow, right?
Yeah.
And then if you kill the crow, he dies.
I've always liked this design and this kind of stuff that's a mini game in a thing, and especially like you play this in limited, it's good fun. But yeah, for sure. I like it. I like it. Nice.
It fills that aesthetic of his powers, right? Get rid of the crow, he dies. He's indestructible until the crow goes away.
It's a symbiotic connection. Or it's not even really symbiotic because the crow probably doesn't give a shit. Like, it's crow's like, oh, you failed your quest, whatever. Like, yeah, I'll just, I'll go and do something else. Or no, it's because the crow is dependent these powers anyway. Whatever. Yeah, never mind.
See,
Follow through
that's what I'm saying. It's perfect.
I dig it. I dig it.
It fits perfectly. All right. Anyways, we're gonna fuck off. Left to right, we're gonna say our goodbyes.
Goodbye, farewell, and thank you for hanging out. Hi everyone, I'm Chesh from Chesh Plays Games. You can find me on Commander Crunch, one of the best podcasts in the entire motherfucking world. And of course on this stream, apparently going to bi-weekly. Bi-weekly.
Yeah. Thanks, Wizards.
Thanks, Wizards. And you'll also find me doing the cat. Just for Brandon.
I'm not looking.
I'm not looking either. Exactly. Brandon.
What's up, everybody? I'm gonna continue to not look because I just assume that Chesh is doing it.
He's done. He's doing it again.
Oh, I'm
He's
okay with
blepping.
that. I'm okay with that. All right.
He's blepping now.
What's up,
Yeah.
everybody? My name is Brandon, aka the producer, a host here at MTG Lexicon. I will see you all tomorrow on tomorrow's stream. This has been a quick little, I guess, talk show thing. And yeah.
Awesome. I've been Sam the Raven, the Crow. I won't get into the Raven Crow debate. That's not a thing. I've been Sam the Crow. It's been fun to talk about this movie. It's been fun to be here with you, lovely people, including in chat. Thanks, everyone. You can catch us also not bi-weekly. That's the wrong way. I always say it the wrong way around. Fortnightly, generally, sometimes weekly if we've got more time on Commander Crunch, wherever you get your podcasts, and for various other musings and kind of things about Commander, but mostly about life and all that stuff. But yeah, catch us there, and otherwise catch us in the next week or two. And sometimes I'll pop up on MTG Lexicon stream and kind of patch in from Australia and throw some cardboard frisbees at y'all as well. So, be fun.
Hell yeah.
Eat.
All right. Take it easy, y'all.
Hey.